Welcome to Infinite Universe with interesting episode. Forget about the tall buildings humans make that reach into the sky. While people are focused on building higher and higher, nature has its own quiet builders working around us. These builders don't need machines, tools, or teams of engineers. They don't even speak our language, but what they create is more clever than anything we could imagine. These are creatures so small, yet so incredibly skilled, that even top human architects would struggle to compete. With just beaks, feathers, and instinct, they build homes that go against gravity and even seem to break the rules of logic. What they do is nothing short of amazing. Let's begin with one of these incredible creatures, the buyer weaver. These birds show us that nature can indeed have architects. During the monsoon season in South Asia, male buyer weavers get to work. Each one becomes a one-bird construction crew. First, he chooses a high, thorny branch that hangs over water. This spot keeps snakes and rats from getting near. Then he starts building. He takes long strips of grass or palm fibers, each around 20 to 60 centimeters long, and begins weaving them together. He loops the strands over 3,000 times to create a nest that looks like a sock hanging from a branch. It takes him about 8 days to finish the first part, which looks like a helmet. Once that part is done, he tries to attract a female. He sings loudly and flaps his wings next to the nest, showing it off like a house for sale. If a female bird comes to inspect and likes what she sees, he finishes the rest of the nest by adding a long entrance tunnel. If she's not impressed, he tears it down completely and starts all over again. Sometimes he does this up to 20 times in just one season. These nests often hang together in groups, with 20 to 60 of them in one colony. All the nests face away from the southwest winds to protect against storms, almost like tiny shelters made to survive nature's worst weather. In the past, people believed that buyer weavers stuck fireflies to their nests to create light. But researchers like Suhail Quad and T. Anthony Davis found out the truth. The birds don't use fireflies at all. Instead, they use things like clay or dung to make their nests stronger. The real brilliance isn't in glowing lights but in how they use simple, natural materials to create something safe, smart, and strong. Even more fascinating, the birds that build their nests higher up on thinner branches usually have more success, because those spots are harder for predators to reach. Next is a bird whose nest looks like something out of a dramatic theater. It's called the Montezuma or a pendula. This bird builds nests that hang like long, woven pouches in the trees of Central America. Each female builds her own nest using vines and fibers. She hangs it from high, thin branches where most predators can't climb. These nests vary in size. Some are only about 2 feet long, while others can be as long as 6 feet. The nest is shaped like a pouch with a deep inside chamber. This shape helps protect the eggs from wind and from animals that try to climb in. In some colonies, there are about 30 nests. In others, there can be more than 170. But even though they live close together, each female works alone on her own nest. She lays 2 speckled eggs inside, but usually, only one chick survives. Nature can be beautiful, but it's also harsh. There's a local legend that says these birds build their nests near hornet nests to stay safe. Surprisingly, that legend is mostly true. Wasps help by chasing away cowbirds and parasites, which are threats to the chicks. At the same time, the presence of the birds keeps bees away from the hornet's nest. So, it's like a secret deal between the two species. They protect each other without saying a word. While the females build the nests, the males try to impress them in a very unique way. They hang upside down and swing, showing off their bright yellow tails. They make bubbling sounds at exactly 500 Hz, and they do it at the same time, like a dance performance. A biologist named Meredith Miles studied this behavior and described it as perfectly timed choreography. All this is done right under the nests the females worked so hard to build. Now, let's travel to the hot, dry Kalahari Desert in southern Africa, where we find one of the most incredible bird nests in the world. These nests are made by sociable weavers. Unlike most birds, these weavers build giant homes that are meant to last for generations. These are not single nests. They are communal homes where many birds live together. Some of these nests are more than 10 feet wide and can weigh nearly a ton. One nest can have between 10 and 500 birds living inside, and it may have 5 to 100 different rooms. Think of it like a giant haystack that's alive. It breathes, it moves, and it's usually built on a tree or sometimes even on a telephone pole. The design is genius. The birds build long tunnels that lead to rooms inside. These tunnels are around 10 inches long. Inside, the rooms stay cool during the extremely hot days and warm during the cold nights. While the outside temperatures can be freezing or scorching, the inside of the nest usually stays between 21 to 24 degrees Celsius. Scientists have measured this and confirmed that these nests work like natural air conditioners or heaters, made with nothing more than sticks and grass. What makes them even more special is how long they last. Some of these nests have stood for over 100 years. Birds pass them down, fix them, and protect them. And it's not just sociable weavers that use them. Other creatures like pygmy falcons, finches, vultures, and even lizards like tree skinks find shelter inside. Sometimes snakes slither into these nests hoping to eat eggs, but they often get blocked by the sharp sticks that protect the tunnels. In Kalahari folklore, people believe that these nests glow with life, like sacred temples. And in many ways, they really are. They are more than homes, they are places of survival, community, and memory. But if you think building with sticks and teamwork is impressive, wait until you hear about a bird that builds its nest using its own spit. Meet the cave swiftlet. This tiny bird lives in the pitch-black caves of Southeast Asia and nearby islands. There are no branches, no leaves, no grass. Just stone walls. And yet, these birds still build nests. Their only tool? Their own saliva. This saliva is thick and sticky, and it works like glue. The swiftlet carefully chooses a safe spot high on the cave ceiling. Then, over 35 days, it builds a nest shaped like a small cup, only 8 centimeters wide. Bit by bit, it adds strands of hardened spit until the nest is complete. The finished nest is strong enough to hold 2 eggs and even support 2 adult birds. Even though it only weighs around 6 grams, it's a perfect balance of lightness and strength. Some of the biggest cave systems, like Gomantong Cave in Borneo, are home to thousands of these white nests stuck to the stone like petals. Since the 14th century, humans have climbed high bamboo ladders into these caves to collect the nests. They are used to make birds' nest soup, which many people believe gives youth, health, and energy. There's even a myth that red nests are more powerful. But the truth is, the red color comes from acids in bat droppings that stain the nest, not from any magical property. Even so, these nests are still considered treasures because of the rare proteins and minerals in the swiftlet's saliva. Scientists are still studying this natural glue to see how it works. But because of the high demand, too many nests were taken, and the swiftlets almost disappeared from places like the Andaman Islands. Thankfully, when some of these caves were protected between 2000 and 2008, the swiftlet population grew by 39%. That shows how quickly nature can heal when we stop hurting it and start protecting it. Let's now return to ground level and meet the ovenbird. Unlike most birds that build in trees, cliffs, or caves, the ovenbird makes its nest right on the forest floor. In the thick forests of North America, this small bird does something very smart. The female starts by clearing a patch of leaves and then begins weaving grass, twigs, bark, and even animal hair into a round dome shape. The nest looks like a small clay oven, which is why it's called the ovenbird. It takes her about 5 days to complete the nest. It stands around 13 centimeters tall and about 23 centimeters wide. Inside, there is a cozy little cup where she lays her eggs. What makes the nest really clever is that the entrance is hidden on the side, usually facing downhill. This direction, along with how well the nest blends in with the forest floor, keeps it safe from snakes, chipmunks, and other predators. If danger does come too close, the mother has an amazing trick. She pretends to be hurt and lures the predator away, giving her chicks a chance to stay safe. She usually lays 3 to 6 eggs, and they hatch in about 2 weeks. The chicks leave the nest in a little over a week but stay close to their mother for nearly a month after. What's also fascinating is that each ovenbird's nest is different. No two are exactly the same. Each one has its own unique shape and curve, almost like a little sculpture. Even the poet Robert Frost once wrote about the ovenbird's unique call and nest. In some villages in Argentina, people believe that if you destroy one of these nests, it will bring bad luck or even drought. So, they treat the nests with great care and respect, sometimes even building their own homes nearby in hopes of good luck. Now we head back up into the sky for another bird that builds using mud. These are the cliff swallows. These small birds are experts at working together. Instead of building alone, they form large neighborhoods of nests. Each swallow carries wet mud in its beak, one piece at a time, usually from streambeds or puddles. They use up to 1,200 mud pellets for just one nest. The finished nest looks like a hanging clay gourd with a narrow tunnel entrance. The nest is about 8 inches wide and 4 inches tall. The thick mud walls help keep it cool in the summer and protect against predators. But the most amazing part is how these birds don't work in isolation. They build huge colonies under bridges, on cliffs, or on the sides of buildings anywhere there's a good surface. Together, they form real bird cities, with hundreds of nests sitting side by side like apartments. In nature, some of the most incredible architects are not humans with blueprints and machines but birds using only their beaks, feathers, and instincts. In certain bird colonies, you can find hundreds or even thousands of nests placed tightly next to each other. In some extreme cases, up to 6,000 nests can be found side by side in one place. Both the male and female birds work together like a small construction team. They build the nest, take care of the eggs, and defend their home from threats. Inside these nests, they carefully place soft feathers and grass to make a cozy spot. Usually, they lay about 3 to 4 eggs, but sometimes the number is as few as 1 or as many as 6. After the eggs hatch, both parents share the job of feeding their babies. In about 3 weeks, the chicks are ready to fly for the first time. However, not all birds follow the rules. Some female birds secretly lay their eggs in other birds' nests. This sneaky trick is known as brood parasitism. The unsuspecting bird then ends up raising a chick that isn't even its own. Many people used to believe these mud nests were weak and would easily break apart in rain. But that's not true. These nests are built with careful planning, balance, and precision. A scientific study even showed that the nests have a center of gravity that makes them extremely stable, like little fortresses. In a way, these birds are using nature's version of 3D printing to make their homes. Now, if we move from these clever nesters to a very different bird that lives in swamps, we meet the wood stork. These tall birds, standing over 3 feet high, build large, flat nests about 5 feet wide high up in trees above water. Both parents gather sticks, branches, and leaves, and together they build the nest in just 2 or 3 days. They even line the nest with fresh green leaves, sealed and strengthened using their own droppings. In places called rookeries, dozens of these nests are grouped together above swamp water that is 3 to 5 feet deep. This water keeps predators like raccoons from getting too close. Each pair of wood storks usually lays 2 to 5 eggs. After about 30 days, tiny chicks hatch, weighing just 57 grams, but they grow very fast with constant attention and feeding from their parents for about 50 to 60 days. In old stories, people used to confuse the wood stork with the white stork, the bird often shown delivering babies in fairy tales. But the real story is less magical and more about survival. Wood storks deliver fish, not babies. They catch their food by snapping their beaks shut so fast that it happens faster than the blink of an eye. Then there's a much smaller bird that builds one of the most complicated nests in the bird world. It's called the penduline tit. This tiny bird is only a few inches long, but its nest is so complex that it has been compared to a swinging mansion hanging from a tree. The male bird does most of the weaving using soft plant fibers, bits of wool, and even spiderweb silk. The final nest is shaped like a hanging pouch. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Inside the nest is a fake entrance meant to confuse predators. The real entrance is hidden behind a flap made of spider silk. Some species even build 2 rooms, one fake and one real. These nests, about 20 centimeters tall, can hold up to 9 eggs. The thicker the nest, the better it keeps the eggs warm. In fact, female birds often choose their mates based on how well they build their nests. It takes the male bird about a week to finish one nest. Although the nest is never reused, the birds often return to the same tree each year. Long ago, people admired these nests so much that they turned them into slippers and small pouches for their own use. Now let's look at a bird that does something completely different. The flamingo, known for its bright pink feathers and long legs, is also a talented builder. But instead of using sticks or grass, it uses mud. In shallow water, a pair of flamingos uses their bills and feet to shape wet mud into a tall cone-shaped mound. This mound is about 45 centimeters high and wide at the base. The top has a small dip where they lay a single, large egg. The height is important. It protects the egg from sudden floods and keeps it cool in the heat as moisture evaporates from the surface, like natural air conditioning. These birds nest close together in large groups called flamboyances. The nests are packed tightly, sometimes less than a meter apart, forming a sea of mud towers. When the chick hatches, it stays on top of the nest for a week before joining a group of other chicks in what's known as a flamingo daycare. During this time, both parents feed the chick a special type of milk rich in fat and protein, produced in their throats. Some myths say that flamingos build their nests with twigs or even metal, but that's not true. It's all done with mud and a whole lot of determination. Now we come to a bird that acts like both a builder and a demolition expert. The woodpecker is one of nature's great engineers. With its strong beak and specially designed skull, it drills deep into trees to create a nesting hole. This hole usually has a tiny entrance just a few centimeters wide leading into a larger chamber that can be up to 24 centimeters deep. They choose trees that have soft wood inside but hard bark on the outside. That way, it's easy to dig but strong enough to last. Depending on the species, digging the nest can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 years. One type of woodpecker, the red-carcaded woodpecker, spends several seasons digging into living pine trees. Inside, they lay 3 to 6 white eggs directly on the wood chips created from their own digging. They don't use grass or twigs, just the shavings from the tree. Contrary to what many people believe, woodpeckers don't destroy trees. In fact, their abandoned nests become homes for many other animals like owls, bats, squirrels, insects, and even other birds. Scientists call this a nest web, and the woodpecker is seen as its chief engineer. Their skill even inspired human inventions like camera shock systems and helmet padding. Next, we have a bird known for both its colorful appearance and its clever building style, the southern masked weaver. Every breeding season, starting around September and ending in January, the male weaver bird goes into building overdrive. He creates up to 25 nests in one season, each taking about 5 days to finish. It all begins with one strand of grass tied to a branch. From there, he weaves an oval-shaped nest about 20 to 25 centimeters wide using grass, reeds, and palm leaves. The entrance is always at the bottom and sometimes includes a little tunnel to stop predators like snakes or monkeys from getting inside. The nest hangs and sways in the wind, but it's strong, waterproof, and durable. After the nest is finished, the male puts on a performance. He flaps his wings, sings loudly, and tries to impress a female. If she likes his work, she moves in and lines the nest with soft grass and feathers. If she doesn't like it, the male tears it down and starts over. These birds also use egg color to recognize and reject eggs from sneaky species like cuckoos. Studies have shown that as weavers build more nests over time, they actually get better at it. Their weaving becomes tighter, more efficient, and wastes fewer strands. Now let's look at a bird that builds not for beauty, but for sheer strength and size, the hammercop. This bird is famous for building some of the largest and strongest nests of any bird. Using as many as 8,000 twigs, reeds, pieces of grass, mud, and even human garbage like cloth or plastic, the hammercop creates a dome-shaped structure that can be as wide and tall as 2 meters and weigh between 25 to 50 kilograms. It starts with a flat base, then walls, and finally a thick roof. At the end, they seal it with a tunnel that leads to a secret chamber inside. This tunnel is around 13 centimeters wide, and the inside room is about 50 centimeters across. Building this massive nest takes about 6 weeks. During the busiest periods, the birds make as many as 60 trips per hour carrying building materials. These nests are so strong that a grown human could sit on one without breaking it. Other animals often move into abandoned hammock nests: owls, ducks, snakes, squirrels, and many others. That's why the hammock is often called an ecosystem engineer. In East Africa, there's a local belief that it brings bad luck to disturb one of these nests. People fear sickness or even lightning if they touch them. Whether or not the belief is true, it helps protect the nests, which often remain untouched thanks to local legends. Then we have the European bee-eater, a brightly colored bird known for digging instead of building above ground. These birds don't use twigs or grass. Instead, they dig tunnels into sandy cliffs or vertical walls near rivers. Using their feet and beaks, they create burrows that can be up to a full meter deep. The tunnel ends in a cozy round chamber where they lay their eggs. It takes a pair of bee-eaters about 20 days to dig and finish one tunnel. In early summer, whole colonies of bee-eaters can be seen nesting along the same stretch of land. In one 30-year study, scientists found over 1,500 nests on a single cliff, most of them located in soft, sandy soil. Inside these nests, the parents lay about 5 to 8 shiny white eggs. Both the mother and father take turns incubating the eggs and feeding the chicks. Interestingly, bee-eaters often receive help from older chicks or relatives, who come back to assist in feeding and guarding the nest, a rare thing in the bird world. Some people used to believe these birds attacked beehives, but that's not true. Studies show they mostly eat wild bees, wasps, and even hornets. Next, we meet the great crested grebe, a bird known for floating its nest on the water. These graceful birds don't hang or dig their nests. Instead, they build floating platforms out of reeds, twigs, and water plants. The nests are anchored to underwater vegetation so they float gently but stay in place even as the water moves. If the weather is good, the nest can be built in just a few hours. Both parents work together to make the base strong enough to hold 3 to 4 eggs. The eggs start out white, but they turn brown over time from contact with wet nesting material. Incubation lasts around 27 to 29 days. The parents take turns sitting on the eggs, switching every 2 hours or so in a calm, quiet routine. When the chicks hatch, they are covered in soft striped feathers and are often called humbugs because of their appearance. Though they can swim, they prefer to ride on their parents' backs for the first week, gaining warmth and safety. Long ago, a false belief claimed these birds walked their eggs to shore, but that is completely untrue. Grebes never leave the water during nesting. In the 1800s, these birds were nearly wiped out in the UK because their head feathers became popular in fashion. At one point, there were only 42 nesting pairs left. But conservation groups helped them recover, and now they thrive again. Finally, we reach one of nature's most iconic builders, the bald eagle. These powerful birds build nests that look more like huge natural monuments than simple homes. A bald eagle's nest usually starts off big, about 6 feet wide and 4 feet deep. But the magic is in what happens over time. Every year, the eagle pair returns and adds more material to the nest: sticks, moss, grass, and even seaweed. Over the years and decades, these nests can grow to unbelievable sizes. Some become up to 9 feet wide, 20 feet deep, and weigh as much as 3 tons. One nest in Florida, built between the 1950s and 1963, still holds the world record. Eagles choose tall, sturdy trees anywhere from 60 to 200 feet high, usually near lakes or rivers with lots of fish. The nest is shaped like an upside-down wine glass with strong walls and a soft, safe center. Research has shown that eagles are loyal to their nesting spots and may use the same tree and nest site for over 50 years. There's an old myth that Benjamin Franklin didn't like bald eagles and thought they were lazy. But when you see the strength, care, and devotion they put into building their nests, it's clear that idea isn't true. So, after learning all about these incredible bird architects, it's hard not to be amazed. Whether it's a fake entrance built to trick predators, a floating nest that moves with the water, or a nest heavier than a car, these creations show just how smart and skilled birds truly are. There's so much happening in nature right around us, quietly, patiently, and with astonishing precision. It makes you wonder what else we might be missing. Thanks for watching. Keep it and stay tuned. Like and subscribe our channel. Have a good day.